The council chamber stretched wide like a massive dome above the delegates. Thousands of seats curved along the walls, each filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Some looked like insects with too many arms. Others glowed with soft light from within their bodies. A few breathed methane through masks while sitting in special chairs. At the center of it all, the human delegation sat in their simple black suits, looking small and plain compared to the exotic aliens around them. Captain Daniel Cross adjusted his collar and tried to ignore the whispers. He could hear them even without a translator. The clicking sounds of the Krelthan delegates meant laughter. The musical tones from the Selenari section carried mockery in every note. 40 years. That was how long humanity had been part of this council. 40 years of following every rule, signing every treaty, accepting every limitation placed on their species. Ambassador Lisa Grant stood from her seat. She was a tall woman with gray hair pulled back tight. Her voice carried across the chamber without needing amplification. Honored council members, Earth formally requests an expansion of our colonization boundaries. Our population grows beyond our current allocated sectors. We have proven ourselves peaceful neighbors and responsible. Responsible? The voice came from the Krelthan section. Vexler rose on his powerful legs, his scales shimmering under the chamber lights. He was twice the size of any human, with teeth that showed when he spoke. Your species discovered faster than light travel less than a century ago. We have sailed between stars for 8,000 years. You call this responsible? Laughter rippled through the chamber, not polite chuckles but real, mocking laughter. Daniel felt his jaw tighten. Beside him, Commander Jake Morrison placed a hand on his arm, a silent warning to stay calm. Lisa Grant kept her composure. We have honored every treaty. Every single agreement made with this council has been because we forced you to honor them. Another voice joined in. This one belonged to a floating being of energy, speaking through a device. Your military restrictions exist because your species is violent. Your expansion limits exist because you breed like parasites. Your technology restrictions exist because you cannot be trusted. More laughter, more agreement from the assembled aliens. Daniel looked up at the High Chancellor Muradin, the ancient Selenari who led the council. Surely he would restore order. Surely he would remind everyone that the council operated on principles of fairness and mutual respect. Muradin simply watched with his large, dark eyes. He said nothing. Lisa continued speaking, her voice steady despite the insults flying around her. We request expansion rights to the Outer Rim sectors. These are unclaimed territories that... Unclaimed by whom? Vexler interrupted again. Those sectors have been reserved for centuries. Reserved for species with the wisdom and experience to use them properly. Not for aggressive children playing with starships. The Krelthan delegation erupted in their clicking laughter again. Others joined them. Daniel watched as species he had never even met before joined in mocking humanity. They did not know Earth. They did not know humans. But they laughed anyway because everyone else was laughing. Furthermore, Vexler continued, clearly enjoying himself, I propose new restrictions. Humanity's rapid expansion, even within their limited sectors, shows dangerous ambition. I propose a tax. 50% of all resources from human colonies to be paid to the Council as a regulatory fee. Lisa's calm expression finally cracked. That is robbery. You cannot... I second the motion, another delegate called out. Third, came another voice. Daniel felt sick. They were not even pretending anymore. This was not about security or fairness. This was about keeping humanity weak, about keeping them under control, about making sure the young species knew their place. High Chancellor Muradian finally spoke, his voice like wind through hollow tubes. The motion is recognized. Additionally, I propose mandatory inspections of all human military installations. Monthly visits by Council observers to ensure treaty compliance. We have never violated a single treaty, Lisa said, her voice rising despite her best efforts. This is punishment without cause. It is prevention, Muradin replied simply. All in favor of the new tax and inspection requirements? Thousands of hands, claws, tentacles, and other appendages rose across the chamber. The vote was not even close. Jake Morrison leaned close to Daniel. "Are we really going to take this?" Daniel did not answer. He was too busy recording everything. His small device captured every word, every laugh, every condescending smile from the alien delegates. He made sure to get clear images of Vexler's smug expression, of Muradian's indifferent eyes, of the hundreds of species who voted to crush humanity without even knowing them. Lisa Grant gathered her papers slowly. When she spoke, her voice was quiet but clear. The human delegation warns this council. We have been patient. We have been peaceful. We have honored agreements that restricted our growth and limited our potential. But understand this, every species has a breaking point. Every people has a limit to their tolerance. Is that a threat, Ambassador? Vexler asked, clearly amused. It is a fact, Lisa replied. History shows that cages only hold for so long, especially when those inside are stronger than the bars. Strong? Vexler laughed, a terrible sound like rocks grinding together. You have 12 warships. 12. The Krelfin Empire has 10,000. The Selenari have fleets that could darken your sun. You speak of strength while sitting in chains we allowed you to wear. Lisa said nothing more. She simply turned and walked toward the exit. Daniel and Jake followed. As they left, the laughter continued behind them. The council had already moved on to other business, dismissing humanity like an annoying insect they had just swatted away. In the corridor outside, Jake finally spoke. That was worse than we expected. No, Lisa said quietly, it was exactly what we expected. They have shown their true nature. Now we can show them ours. Daniel pulled out his communicator, a secure device linked directly to Earth. He typed a single word into the encrypted channel. The word that would change everything. The word that would end 40 years of humiliation and unlock what humanity had been building in secret. He typed, "Midnight," the message sent. Somewhere on Earth, in hidden facilities and secret bases, alarms would be sounding. Admirals would be reading orders they had hoped never to open. Scientists would be activating systems that officially did not exist. And the galaxy, still laughing at humanity, would have no idea what was coming. Lisa Grant looked back at the council chamber one last time. They mocked us, she said softly. They called us weak and primitive and dangerous. They put us in chains and laughed when we asked politely to be free. And now? Jake asked. Lisa's expression hardened. Now we remind them why they were afraid of us in the first place. The three humans walked away from the council chamber. Behind them, the aliens continued their business, completely unaware that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. They had pushed humanity too far. And humanity, patient and peaceful for 40 years, was about to push back with everything they had been hiding in the dark. The message reached Earth in minutes, traveling through quantum channels that the Galactic Council did not know existed. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that appeared on no maps, Director Peter Walsh watched the single word appear on his screen, midnight. He had waited 20 years to see that word. Part of him had hoped he never would. But another part, the part that remembered every treaty restriction and every condescending alien ambassador, felt a dark satisfaction. Activate Protocol Midnight, he said calmly. All stations, all projects, full operational status. Around him, the command center exploded into activity. Men and women in unmarked uniforms rushed to their stations. Screens lit up showing facilities across Earth and beyond. Hidden bases in asteroid fields. Secret shipyards behind Jupiter's moons. Research stations buried in the ice of Europa. All of them coming online after years of careful silence. Dr. Helen Brooks stood in her laboratory 3 levels below, watching the activation code scroll across her terminal. She was a small woman with tired eyes and hands stained from decades of work. Work that the galaxy thought was impossible. Work that broke every treaty Earth had signed. Begin power-up sequence for the quantum drives, she ordered her team. And someone get Admiral Stevens on the line. Tell him his ships are ready. In orbit around Mars, hidden behind sensor disrupting fields, Admiral Kyle Stevens received the call he had been expecting. He was a broad-shouldered man with silver hair and a face marked by years of stress. Stress from commanding a fleet that officially did not exist, from ordering drills and training exercises in secret, from watching his people prepare for a war that might never come until now. "All ships, this is Admiral Stevens," he broadcast across encrypted channels. "Protocol Midnight is active. Power up all systems. Prepare for deployment." This is not a drill. Around him, hidden in the darkness of space, ships began to wake up. Not 12 ships like the galaxy believed. Not 20 or 50. 317 capital ships, each one built in secret over 40 years. Each one equipped with technology the Galactic Council had banned humanity from developing. Senator Claire Murphy sat in the emergency session of Earth's government, watching the vote count. She was one of only 50 people in the entire human government who knew about the Midnight Protocol. One of the few who had authorized the massive deception. The lies, the hidden budgets, the secret research. "The vote is unanimous," the speaker announced. "Earth withdraws from all Galactic Council treaties, effective immediately. Admiral Stevens is authorized to use all necessary force to protect human interests." Claire felt the weight of that decision. They were about to start a war. Maybe a war they could not win. But she remembered the broadcasts from the council chamber. The laughter, the casual cruelty, the way they had treated humanity like animals to be caged. "Do it," she said quietly. "Show them what we really are." Back in the mountain facility, Peter Walsh brought up the classified files. 40 years of secret development. 40 years of breaking every rule the galaxy had imposed. He began reviewing the evidence, preparing to show the Council and the galaxy exactly how much humanity had been hiding. The first file showed the shipyards. Massive construction facilities built in the outer solar system, hidden behind false asteroid signatures. The Council believed humanity had 12 warships. The truth was over 300, with more under construction every day. The second file showed the weapons research. The Council had banned humanity from developing certain technologies. Quantum weapons, AI-assisted combat systems, self-replicating mines, biological agents. Humanity had developed all of them and more. Dr. Brooks and her team had not just copied alien technology. They had improved it, advanced it, created weapons the galaxy had never seen. The third file showed the colonies. The Council believed they had limited humanity to 23 colony worlds in a small sector of space. The truth was different. Anonymous colony ships, registered to corporations and private groups, had seeded over 200 worlds across uncharted space. Worlds the Council did not know existed. Populations growing far beyond official counts. Peter smiled grimly. The galaxy thought they knew humanity, thought they had humans figured out and contained. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral Stevens stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Nevada. It was not the biggest ship in his fleet, but it was the fastest. Equipped with drives that could cross distances in hours that took alien ships days. Armed with weapons that could punch through shields the Council thought were impenetrable. "Status report," he ordered. "All ships reporting ready, sir," his tactical officer replied. "Crews at battle stations. Weapons charged. We can jump on your command." Stevens looked at the tactical display. It showed the locations of every Council military installation within 20 light years, bases, monitoring stations, patrol routes. Humanity had been watching and recording everything for decades. They knew where every ship was, where every weakness existed. "Target list is confirmed," he said. "Execute Operation Breakout. Hit them fast. Hit them hard. And make sure every camera in the galaxy is watching." The fleet jumped. 300 ships vanishing from Mars space and reappearing across a dozen star systems simultaneously. The galaxy was about to wake up to a very different humanity. On Earth, Dr. Brooks activated her greatest creation. An AI system more advanced than anything the Council possessed. A system that could coordinate military operations across vast distances, hack into alien computer networks, Disable enemy weapons before they could fire. The Council had banned AI warfare, calling it too dangerous. Now they would learn why. Athena is online, she reported to Peter. All systems nominal. She is ready to go to war. Peter watched the tactical displays update in real time. Human ships appearing across the galaxy. Alien installations going dark as human cyber attacks hit them. Communications channels filling with confused alien chatter as they tried to understand what was happening. Broadcast. The message, he ordered. Lisa. Grant's face appeared on every major communications channel across the galaxy. She stood in Earth's government center, her expression hard and determined. People of the galaxy, she began. For 40 years, Earth has been a member of the Galactic Council. We have followed your rules, accepted your restrictions, lived within the boundaries you set for us. Today, that ends. Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from all treaties. We recognize no authority over our people except our own. We will expand where we choose, build what we choose, defend ourselves as we see fit. She paused, letting that sink in. You called us primitive. You called us weak. You put chains on us and laughed when we asked to be free. Now you will learn what we built while you were laughing. Now you will see what happens when you cage a species that refuses to be tamed. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, aliens stared at their screens in shock. The humans were rebelling. The weak, restricted, barely tolerated humans were declaring independence, but Lisa was not done. Peter released the second wave of broadcasts. Footage from hidden cameras. Recordings of council meetings where a species openly discussed keeping humanity weak. Documents showing bribes and corruption. Evidence of council ships attacking human vessels and blaming it on pirates. Proof that the council had been lying to everyone, including their own people. Let them see, Peter said. Let the whole galaxy see what their leaders really are. On the bridge of the Nevada, Admiral Stevens received confirmation that all first-wave targets were hit. 12 council monitoring stations destroyed or captured. 3 military bases neutralized. 0 human casualties. Phase 2, he ordered. Take us to Vendara Prime. Show them we can reach the council itself whenever we want. The ship jumped again, heading for the heart of council space. Behind it, the rest of the fleet spread out across the galaxy, hitting targets, freeing human colonies from occupation, and announcing to everyone watching that humanity was done asking for permission. In her laboratory, Dr. Brooks watched the data streams. Athena was performing perfectly. The AI was 3 steps ahead of every alien defensive system. The galaxy had never seen warfare like this. Fast, precise, overwhelming. They are calling for help, one of her technicians reported. The Krelthan Empire is mobilizing their fleets. Helen smiled coldly. Good, let them come. I want to see the look on Vexler S.'s face when he realizes how badly he underestimated us. The Krelthan border station Delta 7 had stood for 300 years. It was a massive structure of metal and composite armor, bristling with weapons and housing over 10,000 soldiers. The station monitored the border between Krelthan space and the restricted human sectors, ensuring that no Earth ship crossed without permission. The crew had grown lazy over the decades. Humans never caused trouble. They were weak, restricted. Controlled. That changed in less than 6 minutes. Captain Nina Parker watched the station through her tactical display aboard the Terra's Fury. Her ship was one of the new battleships. Built in secret and equipped with weapons the Krelthans had never seen. She was a compact woman with sharp eyes and a reputation for aggressive tactics. Today, she would show the galaxy what human aggression really looked like. All weapons charged, her tactical officer reported. Target locks confirmed on power generators, weapons platforms, and shield emitters. Fire, Nina ordered calmly. The Terra's Fury unleashed hell. Quantum torpedoes that phased through shields before exploding inside the station. Railguns firing projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. Directed energy weapons that sliced through armor like paper. The Krelthan station, built to withstand conventional attacks, had no defense against technology it did not know existed. Station shields are down, Tactical reported. Massive internal damage. They are trying to launch fighters. Hit the launch bays, Nina ordered. I do not want a single ship getting out. More weapons fire. The station's launch bays exploded, trapping fighters inside. Emergency bulkheads sealed automatically, but that just made it easier for Nina's boarding teams. Small assault ships latched onto the station's hull. Cutting through weakened armor and sending soldiers inside, the boarding action took 12 minutes. The Krelthan defenders fought hard, but human soldiers had better armor, better weapons, and better training. More importantly, they were angry. Angry at 40 years of restrictions. Angry at being called primitive and weak. Angry at every insult and every limitation. Station secured, the boarding team leader reported. Prisoners are being processed. Minimal casualties on our side. Nina allowed herself a small smile. 1 station down. 11 more to go across the galaxy. Similar scenes played out. Human ships appeared without warning, hit their targets with overwhelming force, and disappeared before alien reinforcements could arrive. They did not target civilian populations or merchant ships. They hit military installations, government facilities, and council enforcement stations. Each strike was surgical, precise, and devastating. Admiral Stevens watched the operation unfold from his command center. The Nevada floated in deep space, coordinating the attacks through quantum communication systems. Around him, his staff monitored hundreds of engagements simultaneously. Krelthan 4th Fleet is mobilizing, his intelligence officer reported. 200 ships heading toward their border stations. Let them come, Stevens replied. Captain Parker, you have incoming hostiles. 200 Krelthan warships. Fall back to Rally Point Gamma and prepare for fleet engagement. Nina received the order and smiled. She had been hoping for this. A real fight against a real fleet. Time to show the Krelthans what their mockery had earned them. All ships form up on me, she broadcast to her squadron. Standard combat formation. Let them see us. I want them angry and stupid when they attack. The Krelthan fleet arrived in formation, a wall of ships stretching across space. They were older designs, built for straightforward combat. Big guns, thick armor, and lots of them. The Krelthan commander probably thought 200 ships. Against 12 was excellent odds. He did not know that each human ship was worth 20 of his dot. The battle began at extreme range. Krelthan ships fired their plasma cannons, deadly weapons that had won wars for centuries. The plasma bolts streaked through space toward the human formation, and missed. Human ships moved with impossible agility, their advanced drives allowing maneuvers that should have torn them apart. The Krelthan fire passed through empty space. While human weapons found their targets with perfect accuracy, Nina's squadron spread out, using tactics no alien fleet had encountered. They fought as individuals but coordinated as one, sharing targeting data through their AI systems. Every shot was calculated for maximum effect. Every movement was predicted and countered. Target their command ship, Nina ordered. Take out their leadership first. The Terra's Fury focused its weapons on the Krelthan flagship. Quantum torpedoes phased into existence inside the ship's bridge. Railgun rounds punched through its engines. Within 30 seconds, the flagship was a drifting wreck. The Krelthan fleet fell into chaos. Without central command, individual captains made their own decisions. Some tried to retreat. Others pressed the attack. None of it mattered. The human squadron cut through them like a blade through water. 96 enemy ships destroyed, Tactical reported. 62 disabled. The rest are retreating. The entire engagement had lasted 19 minutes. Back on Earth, Director Peter Walsh released more information to the galaxy. Not military secrets, but political ones. He showed the recordings from council meetings. Let everyone hear how the council discussed keeping younger species weak. How they manipulated treaties to benefit the oldest races. How they had broken their own laws countless times while punishing others for minor violations. The effect was immediate. Younger species across the galaxy began questioning their own treaties. Some started demanding new negotiations. Others simply withdrew like humanity had. The Council's authority, built over thousands of years, was cracking. Captain Daniel Cross watched from the Nevada as Admiral Stevens gave the next order. Take us to Vendara Prime, full fleet. I want every council member looking up at our ships and understanding that we can end them whenever we choose. The fleet jumped. 300 ships appearing in orbit around the neutral world that hosted the council chambers. Not attacking. Not even powering up weapons. Just hovering there, visible, unmistakable, terrifying. In the council chamber below, High Chancellor Muradin stared at the displays showing the human fleet above. 300 ships. Each one more advanced than anything the council possessed. He had thought humanity was contained, controlled, safely chained. He had been so very wrong. Vexter stood in rage, his scales flushed dark with emotion. This is an act of war. We must mobilize every fleet. Crush these primitives once and for all. With what? Another delegate asked quietly. They just destroyed a Krelthan fleet without taking damage. They have ships we cannot track. Weapons we cannot defend against. Technology we thought was impossible. Then we negotiate, someone else suggested. No. Vexler roared. We do not negotiate with inferiors. We do not bend to threats. Lisa Grant's voice came through the chamber speakers, broadcast from the Nevada above. You will negotiate or you will burn. Those are your choices. You can sit down and talk like civilized beings, or you can watch as we dismantle everything you built. Your choice, counselors, but choose quickly. My patience ran out when you laughed at us. Muradin looked around the chamber. Fear showed on countless faces. Some species were already calling for peace. Others looked ready to fight. But all of them, every single one, finally understood what they had done. They had pushed humanity, humiliated them, caged them, and now the cage was broken and the beast they had created was loose. Emergency session, Muradin announced, his voice heavy. All military operations are suspended pending negotiation. We will hear Earth's terms. Above, on the Nevada, Stevens received the message. They are ready to talk, Admiral. Kyle Stevens looked at the tactical display showing the Council homeworlds, all within striking range. Good, tell them Ambassador Grant will arrive in 2 hours. Tell them to gather everyone with authority to make real decisions. And tell them that if we even suspect treachery, we will turn their precious council chambers into a crater. The message was delivered. And across the galaxy, species that had ruled for thousands of years suddenly understood what it felt like to be powerless, to be at the mercy of someone stronger, to sit and wait while others decided their fate. It was a feeling humanity knew well. Now the galaxy would learn it too. The emergency council session felt different from any that had come before. The grand chamber, usually filled with confident voices and easy authority, now carried the weight of fear. Above them, visible through the transparent dome, 300 human warships hung in orbit like a sword waiting to fall. Every delegate could see them. Every delegate knew what they meant. Lisa Grant walked into the chamber with her head high. No longer the polite ambassador asking for favors. No longer the patient diplomat accepting insults with grace. She was the representative of a power that had just proven it could destroy the council whenever it chose. The other delegates made way as she walked to the center floor. These are Earth's terms, she began without preamble. Complete autonomy for all human territory. No restrictions on military development, expansion, or technology. Immediate removal of all monitoring stations from human space. Reparations for 40 years of suppressed development to be paid by council funds. And most important, a complete restructuring of council authority to prevent any species from being treated as we were. Silence greeted her words. Then Vexler stood, shaking with rage. Reparations? Restructuring? You attack us and then demand we pay you? This is madness. This is justice, Lisa replied coldly. You taxed us illegally, restricted us without cause, laughed while you kept us weak. Now you pay for those crimes. The council will never agree to this, Vexter hissed. We are not so weak that we must bow to threats from children playing with stolen technology. Lisa smiled without warmth. Then we continue. Admiral Stevens has 300 more targets selected. How many of your worlds do you want to lose before you accept reality? High Chancellor Moradin raised a hand, calling for calm. Ambassador Grant, your terms are ... extreme. Surely we can find middle ground. Some compromise that. No. Lisa's voice cut through his words like a blade. No more compromises. No more middle ground. 40 years we compromised. 40 years we accepted less than we deserved. That ends now. You accept our terms or you accept war. Choose. The chamber erupted into argument. Some species demanded resistance. Others called for immediate surrender. A few younger delegates openly supported humanity's demands. Seeing a chance to break free from ancient power structures that had kept them down, one of them stood. A young diplomat named Talshar from a species called the Viridian. They were a newer member of the Council, only 300 years of spaceflight compared to thousands for the elder races. I support Earth's proposal. The Council has become corrupt. It serves only the oldest species while keeping the rest of us contained. If humanity can force change, then I say let them. Traitor! Vexter roared. Truth, speaker, Talshar replied calmly. I have records too. Documents showing how the Krelthan Empire violated the same treaties you used to restrict Earth, how the Selenari broke their own rules whenever convenient, how this council has always been about power, not justice. Earth simply had the courage to say what many of us have thought for centuries. More voices joined in. Younger species, smaller nations, delegates who had sat silent for years while the elder races controlled everything. They saw in humanity's rebellion a chance for their own freedom, but not everyone was ready to accept change peacefully, light years away. On the human colony world of New Dakota, Governor Marcus Webb received an urgent alert. His world was far from the center of human space, home to only 80,000 colonists. They had farms, small cities, families trying to build a life on a new world. They were not soldiers. They were not warriors, and a Krelthan battle fleet had just appeared in orbit above them. This is Fleet Commander Zarelek of the Krelthan Empire, the message came through. Your rebellion ends now. Surrender your planet or we will burn it from orbit. You have 1 hour. Marcus stared at the tactical display showing 60 Krelthan warships in orbit. His world had no defenses, no military, nothing that could stop what was coming. He sent an immediate distress call to Earth and prayed help would arrive in time. Admiral Stevens received the alert aboard the Nevada. His tactical officer brought up the display showing New Dakota and the Krelthan fleet surrounding it. They are using civilians as hostages, the officer said quietly, trying to force us to back down. Kyle Stevens felt cold rage build in his chest. The Krelthans thought they could threaten human families, thought they could burn a colony world and force humanity to surrender. They were about to learn how badly they had miscalculated. Divide the fleet, he ordered. Captain Parker, take Squadron 7 to New Dakota. Maximum speed. Kill anything in orbit that does not immediately surrender? What about the blockade here? His tactical officer asked. We maintain it with half the fleet, Stevens replied. If the Council tries anything, we destroy them. But I will not abandon our people. Nina Parker received her orders and felt her ship surge forward as the drives engaged. Squadron 7 consisted of 24 ships, against 60 Krelthan vessels. The numbers looked bad, but numbers had stopped mattering the moment humanity revealed their true capabilities. The journey to New Dakota would take 6 hours at maximum speed. Nina spent that time preparing her crews and reviewing the tactical situation. The Krelthans had the planet surrounded. Any bombardment would kill thousands. She would have to be perfect. On New Dakota, Marcus gathered his people in the underground shelters. Families huddled together. Parents held children. Everyone waited and hoped that help would come before the hour ran out. Zarelek, the Krelthan commander, watched the time count down. He expected the humans to surrender, to beg, to offer anything to save their pathetic little colony. When the hour ended and no surrender came, he gave the order he had been planning all along. Begin bombardment. Burn the settlements. Show these primitives what happens when they defy the Empire. The Krelthan ships powered their weapons. Plasma cannons capable of glassing entire continents charged their firing sequences. The crews prepared to fire. And then Squadron 7 arrived. 20-4 human ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel already firing. They did not bother with warnings or demands. They simply killed. Quantum torpedoes phased into existence inside Krelthan ships. Railguns fired with perfect accuracy. Energy weapons carved through hulls. The battle was brutal and fast. The Krelthans fought back hard, their ships firing everything they had. But they were positioned for planetary bombardment, not fleet combat. Their formation was wrong. Their targeting solutions were unprepared. And they were facing an enemy that had spent 40 years planning for exactly this kind of fight. Nina Parker's ship took point, drawing fire while the rest of her squadron maneuvered around the Krelthan fleet. Target their command ship, she ordered. And their leadership. The rest will break. The Terra's fury focused every weapon on Zarelek's flagship. The massive Krelthan ship tried to turn, tried to bring its heavy guns to bear. It never got the chance. Human weapons struck from 3 directions simultaneously, overwhelming its shields and punching through its armor. The flagship exploded in a ball of fire. 18 enemy ships destroyed, Tactical reported. 24 disabled. The rest are requesting surrender terms. Nina did not offer terms. She was too angry. They had come to burn a colony, kill families, murder children. She wanted to destroy every last one of them, but she was also a professional. Cease fire. Tell them to power down all weapons and prepare to be boarded. Any ship that does not comply immediately will be destroyed. The surviving Krelthan ships surrendered. Human Marines boarded them, taking the crews prisoner and securing the vessels on the ground. Marcus Webb and his colonists emerged from their shelters to see the wreckage of the Krelthan fleet burning in orbit. Human ships hung in the sky above them like guardian angels. The rescue had come. They were safe. Back at the council chamber, news of the battle spread quickly. The Krelthan Empire had tried to force surrender by threatening civilians. Instead, they had lost another fleet. 60 ships destroyed or captured. Their attempt at intimidation had failed spectacularly. Vexler sat in his chair, scales pale with shock. His empire had just lost over 200 ships in 2 days. Ships that had taken decades to build. Crews that could not be replaced. All destroyed by a species he had called primitive. Tauscher stood again, his voice carrying across the shocked chamber. The Krelthan Empire just tried to commit genocide. They would have burned an entire world to prove a point. And Earth stopped them. Perhaps it is time we acknowledge who the real primitives are. More voices agreed. Even some of the elder species looked disturbed by what the Krelthans had attempted. Targeting civilians was beyond the bounds of acceptable warfare. It violated every code the Council claimed to uphold. Lisa Grant saw the shift in momentum and pressed her advantage. The choice remains the same. Accept our terms and help us build a better council, or refuse and watch as everything you built crumbles. We are done being patient. We are done being reasonable. Give us justice or we will take it ourselves. Moradin looked around the chamber at the divided delegates. At the younger species supporting humanity. At the older races struggling to maintain control they had held for millennia. He saw the future clearly now. Change was coming whether he wanted it or not. The only question was whether it would come through negotiation or through fire. 3 weeks. That was how long the standoff lasted. 3 weeks of tense negotiations, small skirmishes, and constant brinkmanship. The human fleet remained in orbit above Vendara Prime, a constant reminder of what would happen if talks failed. Admiral Stevens kept his ships ready, weapons charged. Crews prepared for the order to strike, but the order never came. Instead, slowly, painfully, the council broke. It started with the smaller species, the ones who had watched humanity's rebellion and seen a path to their own freedom. They withdrew from old treaties, demanded new terms, refused to accept the authority of the elder races. When the council tried to enforce compliance, they found their enforcement fleets suddenly vulnerable to mysterious equipment failures and cyber attacks. Dr. Brooks and her AI systems made sure of that. The elder races watched their empire crumble. The Krelthan Empire, humiliated by two major defeats, faced internal rebellion as their subject species saw weakness and took advantage. The Selenari found their ancient authority questioned by people who no longer feared them. Other elder races scrambled to maintain control of territories and resources they had taken for granted for centuries. And through it all, humanity kept up the pressure. Not with violence, not with bombardment, with information. Peter Walsh released document after document proving council corruption. Treaties signed in bad faith. Resources stolen. Entire species manipulated and controlled. The council had ruled through reputation and fear. Now both were shattered. High Chancellor Muradin called for a final vote. His voice carried the exhaustion of someone who had fought for 3 weeks and finally accepted defeat. The proposal before us is simple. Accept Earth's terms in full. Restructure the Council to prevent future abuse. Grant autonomy to all member species who request it. All in favor. The vote was not unanimous. The Krelthan delegation refused to the end. A few other elder races stood with them, bitter and angry. But they were outvoted by the younger species, the smaller nations, and even some of the older races who recognized that change was inevitable. The new treaty was signed on Earth. Lisa Grant insisted on that. After 40 years of traveling to the council chambers and asking for permission, she wanted them to come to humanity's home. Wanted them to see the cities and people they had tried to keep weak. Delegates from across the galaxy arrived in New York City. They walked through streets crowded with humans going about their daily lives. Saw the technology and industry the council had tried to restrict. Met the people they had called primitive. Many of them felt shame. Others felt fear. All of them understood that the galaxy had changed forever. The treaty itself was comprehensive. Earth gained complete autonomy over all human territory, with no restrictions on military, technology, or expansion. Reparations were paid from council funds, enough to compensate for 40 years of lost development. The council itself was restructured with term limits, transparency requirements, and equal voting rights for all species regardless of age or size. Most importantly, the treaty included protection for younger species. No more could the council impose restrictions without just cause. No more could elder races use their power to keep others weak. Every species had the right to defend themselves, to grow, to explore the galaxy freely. The Krelthan Empire faced additional penalties. Their attempt to bombard New Dakota was classified as attempted genocide. They lost territory, paid massive fines, had their military reduced and monitored by a coalition force that included human officers. Vexter himself was removed from power, tried by his own people for bringing disaster upon their empire. Captain Nina Parker stood on the bridge of the Terra's Fury, now stationed above the former Krelthan border worlds. Her ship was part of the occupation force, ensuring the Krelthans followed the terms of their surrender. She looked at the planets below and thought about how much had changed in just a month. "Captain, we have a delegation from one of the Krelthan colony worlds," her communications officer reported. "They are requesting to speak with you." Nina accepted the call. A Krelthan appeared on her screen, smaller than Vexler had been, with lighter scales and younger eyes. "I am Governor Kelshar. I wanted to thank you." Nina raised an eyebrow. "Thank me? We occupied your worlds." "You freed them," Kelshar replied. "The Empire controlled us for centuries, took our resources, forced us to fight their wars. Now, because of Earth, we have a chance at independence. Many of us are grateful." The call ended, and Nina sat back in her chair. They had started a war to free themselves. Along the way, they had freed others too. She had not expected that. On Earth, Dr. Helen Brooks began the technology exchange programs. Species across the galaxy wanted access to human innovations, wanted to learn how humanity had advanced so quickly. She shared some knowledge, the medical technology that could save lives, agricultural techniques that could feed billions, clean energy that could power civilizations, but the weapons stayed secret. The quantum drives remained classified. The AI systems were not shared. Humanity had learned the hard way that power needed to be protected. They would help the galaxy advance, but they would not give away the tools that kept them safe. Governor Marcus Webb stood on New Dakota, watching as construction crews rebuilt the areas damaged in the battle. The colony was stronger now. Earth had sent military trainers, defensive weapons, and shields. Never again would his world be helpless. Children played in the streets, unaware of how close they had come to dying. Marcus watched them and felt the weight of what humanity had done. They had gambled everything on a single moment of defiance. They had risked total destruction to gain freedom, and they had won. Admiral Kyle Stevens addressed his fleet from the Nevada. 300 ships that had hidden in darkness for 40 years. 300 ships that had changed galactic history. "We are no longer a secret fleet," he told his crews. "We are now the official military force of Earth and her colonies. The United Nations Space Command. We fought for freedom. Now we defend it. Not just for humanity, but for all species who want to live without fear of the powerful." The fleet dispersed to their new stations. Some remained near Earth, others patrolled the outer colonies. A few joined the coalition forces monitoring former council trouble spots. Humanity had become one of the galaxy's premier military powers overnight. Senator Claire Murphy gave a speech to Earth's government reflecting on what they had achieved. "We deceived the galaxy for 40 years. We lied about our capabilities, broke treaties we signed in good faith. Some will say we were wrong to do so, that we should have accepted the council's authority." She paused, looking at the assembled representatives. "But I say we did what we had to do. We gave peace a chance. We tried cooperation. And when that failed, when they laughed at us and tried to keep us caged, we reminded them of a fundamental truth. Free people cannot be controlled forever. Push them hard enough, and they will push back with everything they have." Captain Daniel Cross took his seat at the restructured council. The chamber looked different now. More species represented. More voices heard. The old guard still sat in their ancient seats, but they no longer controlled everything. When a delegate from an elder race proposed new restrictions on a younger species, Daniel simply stood up. He said nothing, just stood and looked at the delegate. The entire chamber fell silent. Everyone remembered what happened when you tried to restrict humanity. The delegate quickly withdrew the proposal. Daniel sat back down, allowing himself a small smile. They did not need to threaten anymore. Did not need to fight. Everyone knew what would happen if they tried to return to the old ways. Lisa Grant walked through the council gardens with Talsha, the young Viridian diplomat who had supported humanity. "Do you think it will last?" Talsha asked. "This new order we built?" "I do not know," Lisa admitted. "Power corrupts. Even good intentions can lead to bad places. But we built in protections, checks and balances, and we set an example. If the council becomes corrupt again, if it starts abusing its power, everyone knows that rebellion is possible. That change can be forced. Some species fear you now," Talshar said. "They worry that humanity will become the next oppressor." Lisa nodded. "Good, a little fear is healthy. It reminds everyone to stay honest. But we will not become what we fought against. We have too many people who remember what it felt like to be powerless. We will not do that to others." Time passed. Months became years. The galaxy adjusted to its new reality. Some species thrived under the freedom the new treaties provided. Others struggled with the loss of their ancient privileges. But none of them could deny that things had changed. Earth's colonies expanded rapidly, freed from restrictions. Human ships explored regions of space that had been forbidden. Human scientists pushed the boundaries of technology, always advancing, always improving. And the human military remained strong, ready to defend their hard-won freedom. On the anniversary of the treaty signing, monuments were built on Earth and on New Dakota. They honored those who had fought, those who had died, and those who had simply endured 40 years of humiliation with patience and planning. The inscription on the Earth monument read simply, "They tried to cage us. We broke free. Never again." Admiral Stevens stood before that monument during the dedication ceremony. Around him, veterans of the conflict gathered,